Right, we're in the new Tesla Model 3 rear-wheel drive. This is a 2022 LFP model of car. It's Chinese built. Very impressed with it so far. I've come from a Model S. One of the things I'm really impressed with, which I'll come back to in a second, is just the efficiency on this car. It's absolutely incredible, which I'll show you. But in terms of the fit and finish, I've just done an intro of some of the outside of the vehicle. It's absolutely fantastic. No paint issues with my car. Panel gaps are perfect. No build quality issues whatsoever with this car, which I was very pleased about. Inside I went with the white interior, and I'm really glad I did. It looks, I think, absolutely fantastic. The fit and finish, I come from a Model S. The fit and finish in this, I think, is better than it ever was in the S. Upgrades on this car for, in fact, most of them came in last year, but it has got a few additional ones. We've got the heat pump, again, which came in on this last year. The heat pump is absolutely fantastic. It makes it much more efficient, the car. Really good quality heat pump that Tesla have built in these cars. We've got the new interior, such as this used to be shiny and used to scratch easily. Got some Haribo in there, as you can see, necessity. And I bought this, it's not brilliant actually, but I bought this little tray from Amazon. Really big deep bins, as you can see in there, and also there as well. I bought this from Amazon as well, this insert there, which just holds the cups a bit better. So that's really nice. It now comes with wireless chargers, so we just put it on there like that, upside down, right way around, and as you can see it charges that. And the fabulous Leeds United screensaver there. And the interior is just really nice. I'm really glad I went for the white seats. I got some stuff called Gaon. It's like a ceramic seat coating, which I put on immediately, but these seats are meant to be really stain resistant. It's got everything really. There's not really that much difference between this and the other versions, apart from a bit on the stereo. I love the roof in this. Now my S had a glass roof as well. This one has got this bar in the middle where my S came across and then ended a bit further back, but it's really nice when you're in the back. When you sat there, it's all glass around you, so I really do like that. It's a nice feature. Stereo, no, I was really worried about the stereo on this car when I first got it. The reason being, on my S had the premium system on it, and that meant that it had a subwoofer and more speakers. This has, I think it's 8 speakers on this version. Some 1980s classics here. Let's have a look. I found the stereo on this to be absolutely fantastic. Now I don't want to get caught with a copyright claim, so it'll be very quick.
To life, back to reality, back to life.
So much so that I actually prefer the stereo on this compared to my S, believe it or not. So that definitely wasn't a worry. The other main advantage of this car is it has the LFP battery. And so, for those who don't know, LFP is in many ways, it's not as advanced battery tech, but it has many advantages. It's a lot more stable. It won't degrade hardly anything, and in fact they do say you can do 1,000,000 miles in these things, and you can also charge it to 100% every single time you use it. This one has got the new 60 kilowatt battery in it. So what that means is, and I'm going to show you this screen, if we go on to the trip screen, but in total I've done 323 miles, and that's including when I first got it and I was sort of accelerating quite quickly and not worrying at all about efficiency. It's mainly done short trips as well, say up to work, 11 miles away up the M1. Therefore the car's been cold. I've never preheated this car yet since I've got it, and it's often throughout this life, I've had it 3 weeks, it's been operating in well below 10 degrees temperatures. And you'll see that overall I'm managing 245 watts a mile. To give you an idea, over its life, my Tesla Model S 75D did 360. So it's almost a third more efficient. In fact, I believe this car is definitely a third more efficient than my S75D. But because of the heat pump and because of the efficiency of this car, it's quite incredible. I mean, I've been driving to work, which is overall of a lower elevation than it is here, and I've been getting sort of 180 kilowatts an hour, watts an hour, and I'll explain a bit more about that. Driving to work compared to 360 on average that I got on my S. This battery is 60 kilowatts usable, I believe. So if you can drive everywhere at 200 watts an hour, a mile, WH a mile, 200, that would equate to 300 miles. So 60 kilowatts, 200 watts, that would give you 300 miles a charge. Now, as I say, I'm averaging 245, which is around 200, and without doing the maths, it's around 250 miles a charge. And remember, this is the base model. I've been doing short trips with a cold battery, so it's having to warm it up a bit in the cabin. And I'm still averaging 245, and in fact, since I last charged it, I've done 52 miles. I'm only averaging 218. So yeah, so really nice interior. Really nice car. In terms of driving compared to the S, I like it better again. It feels really good to drive. The car in many ways reminds me of, I used to have a BMW 335, which was a wonderful car. I loved it, and it reminds me a bit like that to drive. Suspension, it's a bit skittery on lower speeds, on the badly potholed roads, sort of 30 mile an hour roads, B roads. A little bit skitty at the front and not as smooth as the S, which is understandable because the S had full air suspension. But apart from that, it's a really nice drive, and you feel more connected with the road. The S was a great tourer for long distance motorway driving. This is a bit more, I think, of a driver's car than the S. The other thing I was slightly worried about when I got it was, I suppose, the acceleration on it. The S did 0 to 60 in about 4 seconds. I think this is something like 5.8, but it's still a fast car. It still seems fast enough to me. It's 0 to 60 is a bit slower, but once you're up to speed, sort of if you're 30 and you put your foot down, it really does seem to shoot forward, and people still react a bit like they used to in the S in terms of the acceleration. So no issues. I'm more bothered about efficiency now, really. So Disney Plus is on there, really good. This is good. Moon Night. Oops, get rid of that. Works really well. Just give you a quick demonstration. And this is where the landscape screen really comes in well for watching things. Again, I don't want to be hit by a copyright strike, so I'll stop that. It's got the Ryzen processor in it now. It's a custom Ryzen processor, but it's pretty similar to the one that was that's in the PS5. So it's really fast. So, for example, a good test is how quickly the rear cameras and the side cameras come up. You'll notice a real difference compared to the old processor. It's instantaneous. That's how good it is. Really fast. Now another thing is now the Model 3 has a power boot, so that's another addition they've put in, so you can open and close it, and the graphics are really nice on this. For example, you open the door opens like that. Turn the wheels, well, it's not powered up, but you turn the wheels and the wheels go as well. So I'll just show you the boot. And you can close it as well through the button. Now the other thing it now has is it now has an outside speaker in it as well. They're called the boom box.
Well, I never.
Right guys, we're on the road trip as I said we'd be today. Temperature has unfortunately dropped down. It's now 14 degrees outside, 10:15 AM. We're going to go up to T-Bay first of all and recharge there, have something to eat at T-Bay, which is a really nice service station. Hopefully it won't be too busy because it does get busy, that supercharger there. Just getting a coffee from Tesco at the moment. So I've charged to 100%. I've just driven to Tesco a few miles down the road. So just going back to our screen I like to look at. You can see I've done a mile to Tesco so far and it's used 200 watts of electricity. So what we're looking at is since last charge, because literally I just took it off charge since I set off. So 1 mile so far, 200 watts a mile so far. So I'll catch you again when we get to T-Bay and we'll see how we're doing now. Obviously I'm going to be climbing up some big hills as we go up over the top past Barnard Castle, and it'll be interesting to see also most of it sort of 60-70 miles an hour driving. It'll be interesting to see how efficient this car is in sort of that type of scenario. 14 degrees, so not particularly warm today. So we're going well so far. It's averaging 211 since we started so far, and we're just coming up to the A66 at Scotch Corner, Richmond area. So we're going to take the A66 soon and head across to T-Bay. So we're going up high elevations now. See how high up we are, and that's started to have a bit of an impact on the energy. So it's gone up to, it was sitting around 200 on the slight climb on the motorway.
In 5.5 miles, turn left.
We're now going up to 220-ish, but we are climbing quite a lot, so I'd expect it to almost even itself out by the time we get to Ambleside. But we'll see how we are when we reach T-Bay. So we've now done 84 miles, average 222, so we've done 84 miles, 68% of the battery left. So it's not bad at all. So, see you at T-Bay. Right, we made it to a pretty busy T-Bay supercharger, but there's still quite a few spare ones luckily. Temperature's gone up to 18 degrees now. It was a good run the whole way, so I was basically travelling at full speed limits the whole way, apart from when we came through a village, when I was a bit slow, really slow through there for probably about 10-15 minutes. But apart from that, basically on the motorway 68-70 miles an hour, dual carriageway 68 miles an hour. So let's see how we did on the so far. And we have gone over some very big hills. So you can see we've done 113 miles and we've averaged 210 watts a mile. So that's extremely good. Just doing a calculation then in terms of real world miles. So that's giving us about 285 miles of range, 285 miles. So this is real world, 285 miles so far out of the standard rear wheel drive LFP car, 60 kilowatt, brilliant. Anyway, I'm just going to have something to eat now, plug it in. No, I didn't preheat the battery either, just to try and get a proper indication of how many miles it will do, because that would have used battery. So I'm on nearly 60% just plugging in, and it's still doing 83, 84 kilowatts. It's been driving a long time, so that's pretty good. Pleased with that. Go and get some lunch. Right, well I've had to come back because we're already at 100%. Happened really quick. Sorry, the aircon's on. It's 19 degrees now. So looking at my charging, it was really quick charging. It's only dropped. It was still 45 kilowatts charging even when it got to 90%, which seems fast to me compared to my old S. Normally, you never normally charge to 100%. The only reason I'm doing this is because I'm going into the Lake District and it's quite difficult to charge. I don't want to be charging up again in the 2 days we're going to be there. So unusually I've charged to 100%, and really when you start getting sort of 70%, 80% up, it starts to go really slow. But this was pretty good. It kept going at 40, at 5. It was still 70 when it was at 80%, which I was quite impressed with. So it's charging absolutely no time. My wife's just coming back now because I had to leave and get back before I started hitting idle feeds, which I'm not going to do, but I'm going to turn it off now. So brilliant. Just about time to have a very quick sandwich and go to the toilet, and I'm back to 100%, ready to go again for another nearly 300 miles. Can't be beaten. So we've arrived at the Salutation Hotel, just packed up in this underground car park. So let's see what the final, how we finally did. Amazing. 203 since we set off. Actually, I did 20 more miles than that, but that'll be right. That was about right. It was really the same as since the first charge I did. Since we did that other charge, it's done 190. So the efficiency on this car is unbelievable. We're talking, you know, real world nearly roughly going on for 300 miles of charge on the basic Model 3, albeit, you know, the weather's been great. It's now 20 degrees. It was sort of between 17 and I think it was 17 when we left the charge because it was higher up, higher elevation. But it's just incredible, really, the efficiency of this car. It's a definite real world 275 mile car. This 300 miles in summer, I think. We didn't have any bad traffic coming. It was a straight run, so I was basically driving at the speed limits virtually the whole way. We had stops and things. That's why the time's showing a bit longer. Came through the centre of Windermere, but again, you know, we're moving in free-flowing traffic even through Windermere because it just seems quite quiet on the roads today for some reason. So yeah, I'm delighted with this. You know, 190 miles or whatever from that. Sorry, 290 miles. You can't really complain. 290 miles in real world driving. So you've seen it. This is the real world test. Brilliant. Delighted with the car. It's fabulous. Charges really quick as well. Fantastic. So I'd highly recommend this car. Compared to my old Model S, I had a 75D. This is a different kettle of fish really for driving long distances. It's fabulous. Right guys, I did a really interesting test there coming back. So coming back, driving there, it was as I said, real world test. We went from West Yorkshire over to Ambleside, and I drove, you know, I had the motorway on about 68. Didn't really go above the speed limit, took it relatively mild on acceleration and things, just driving pretty normal, but mainly within the speed limits, etc. Coming back, I thought, right, what I'll do is I'll give it some, basically drive as quickly as I could reasonably. So on the motorway I was doing sort of 78 mainly. A bit of a zoom in. On the motorway I was doing 78. I had it set on 78. I was whenever I was overtaking anybody, I was slamming the accelerator down. And as you can see, it was a good run, so it was mainly A roads and motorway. We came down M61, M60, M62 back rather than the way we went. And it was pretty free the whole way. As you can see, I did 122 miles in total in just over 2 hours. In fact, that 2 hours 8 includes me unpacking the car, so about 2 hours. So I averaged 60 miles an hour, but as I say, when I was on the motorway I was doing 77, 78 most of the time, apart from when the traffic slowed down here and there, and that slowed me down as well. So as fast as I could reasonably drive without being silly, and sort of going about 90 as much as I could. And you'll see that still the average energy is 236 watts a mile. So it's still really good, even though I'm really driving as fast as I possibly could. Temperature wise, it started off at 7 degrees and it's risen, it's just got to 15, but so it rose 7, most of it was around the 12, 13 level. And the entire trip, as you can see, I averaged 220 watts a mile, and that's me accelerating and driving really as quick as I reasonably ever would do in a car. So yeah, efficiencies of this car's pretty amazing really. No issues with it at all. I had one thing I did have, I left the car with Sentry mode at the hotel in front of the smokers area, and the first night I came back and I realised that we've I had 77 triggers of people, the staff of the hotel and guests coming to the smoking area. So it really set my battery, so I moved the car after the first night. So remember, Sentry mode can really sap your battery, but we only charged the once, got back with 17%, and I only remember charged, I think it from memory was from 60% to 96%, and then it stopped at 96%. Not sure why it did that actually. We'll see, just make sure it charges up fully this time to 100. It has done before, no issue. I probably just needed balancing the battery, but that was slightly interesting. So yeah, I mean, amazing really. Fabulous efficiency this car. Can't recommend enough. You know, it is a definite 275 mile, 300 mile car this. And as I say, even in just looking at it again, even when I'm ramming the accelerator down and going nearly 80 on the motorway, which isn't the efficient way to drive an electric car, we're still getting, you know, that'll give us roughly, well, it's 250 miles a charge. So, and that can easily go up just by slowing down to just a touch under 70 on the motorway and being less vigorous with acceleration. And we got 220 there. Again, I'm not going to do the maths, but it's what, it's probably 280 miles, that is, roughly, a charge. And as I say, that's with me slamming down the accelerator and doing nearly 80 for 122 miles in 2 hours coming back on the motorway with very little B-road driving. So car's a definite thumbs up. It's if you're concerned about should I go for the long range, will this be enough, I'd say unless you are basically crunching the miles on the motorway every single day and you need that extra, say 30-40 miles out of it, I think this new LFP 60 kilowatt car is enough for anybody. Compared to my old S75D, it's just so more efficient, it's incredible. My S75D, just to remind you, averaged 350, 360 throughout its life. this we're so far averaging 233. I've no doubt that that will probably be down to probably 220, 200ish maybe even by the end of summer, and it'll be interesting to see how low that really does go. So brilliant, thumbs up, excellent car, love it, and I much prefer it actually to my 75D.